Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today we are going to start a new series. We did one series a while back. It was about relationships, and then since then you've just kind of gotten standalone episodes, but I have got a new series for you. So, today we're going to start talking about identity. So, let me explain to you a little bit about what I mean and why this matters to you. So, I think a lot of people, when they think of identity development, they think of something that you go through maybe when you're younger, when you're a teenager, and you kind of figure out who you are and then you move on. But the reality is, we are in a constant state of identity development. The entire time that you are living, breathing, you're growing as a person, and your identity changes depending on the kinds of things that happens in your life. And so, as you go through things, as you experience things, these things influence your identity development. And some people stay relatively constant, but most people can really change in ways that that affect all aspects of their lives. And so some people have drastic identity changes, and some people have more minor ones. But identity development is something that we are all impacted by. It's something we all go through. And so I think that this is something that everyone needs to be aware of, because a lot of the times when I work with clients, and it could be any stage of life, any age, a lot of the times we end up coming to a point in the conversation where we're talking about identity, who you are as a person, and how that influences the thing that you're counseling for, the thing that you're going through, that maybe you're trying to overcome, whether it is small or large. And so by kind of going back and figuring out, okay, what is your belief about this? What are your characteristics in this part of your life, and how that might affect, say, this relationship or this job or whatever? A lot of the times that's really important for us to go back and figure out, so that we can find the solution to whatever is going on. So let me start by reading you just a simple definition. I just Googled what is an identity, just because I wanted to really start from scratch for you. So, true meaning of identity. Identity is the unique set of characteristics that can be used to identify a person as themselves and no one else. The word can be used in different ways in different contexts. On a personal level, identity often refers to a person's sense of self, meaning how they view themselves as compared to other people. So, we're working off of that as a basic definition. So, basically, what it means is who you are, the things that make up your self, sets you apart from other people. Your identity is different from everyone else's. You might have things in common with other people, but at the end of the day, when you take all of the things that make up who you are not going to be exactly like anyone else. Even if you have a twin sibling, or if you were raised in the same house with other siblings, or your parents, or neighbors that grow up together, you might have so many things in common, but at the end of the day, no one has your identity. And it's so important to be mindful of your identity, because to be really confident and happy with yourself as a person, you have to understand who you are. If you don't know who you are, how can you expect to make changes in life? There are a lot of people that will come to me and say, okay, I have a goal, I want to work on this, or I want to work towards this, I want this kind of relationship, and I always end up in a bad relationship. How do I get in a good relationship? Well, first, we have to start off with, do you know who you are? So if you're not confident in who you are as a person, there's no way you're going to attract the person that you want to be with, because you're not starting on a solid foundation. If you want to match your life up with this other person, you need to know who you are, so that we make sure that match is right. If you are struggling with how you're raising your children, you have to figure out who you are as a parent. What does that mean? How does your history, your childhood with your parents potentially play a role in you as a parent today? How does the way that you view children, or the way you view discipline, or the way you view kids, in society, how does that impact the way that you are parenting? So to truly know how to do those things differently, you have to understand who you are. So the reason I made this into a series instead of just a one episode is because if you haven't already guessed from the way I'm throwing these examples out to you, it is such a complicated thing. There's so many aspects of identity that we can talk about, and there's so many ways to explore this, and so many aspects of it to just that it branches off into different things. And so to really be to look at it right, we have to spend some time on this. So what I'm doing today is introducing this to you. We're just going to lay that groundwork for what identity is and what identity development is. And then every week, we're going to talk about a different aspect of identity. And my hope for you is that no matter what stage of life you're in, I hope that this just helps give you clarity about who you are. If you're at a point in your life where you're really in this identity crisis, so to speak, or just a little bit unsure of who you are or what you're doing in this phase of life, if you have a place that you want to get to that you're just not sure how to do it, then my hope is that this series will help shed some light on who you are and how to get more confidence and clarity in yourself so that you can start to figure out where you want to go and how to grow as a person. If you are fairly certain that you're confident in your identity, then I hope that this just reaffirms that. I want you to listen through this because I want you to make sure you're not missing anything that would help you be a better version of yourself. So going back to what I was saying earlier, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what you've been through. We are in a constant state of identity development. If you have, if you're at the beginning stages of moving out and going to college or living independently, well, you're having some changes. So you got to make sure you're kind of checking in. Okay, who am I? What do I want to do? How do I feel about the world? What's my perspective? What are my beliefs? All of this. And then as you fast forward a little bit, say you get married and then you have children, and then your children are at an age where they're difficult, or then you move out and now you're an empty nester, and then you are looking at retirement. Like every one of those stages and all the years in between have different things that arise that cause us to sometimes question who we are, or we just start changing. I mean, if you look at your life, I imagine that you probably have different beliefs in certain things. Like some things might have stayed the same, but I imagine your opinion has changed about certain things than the opinions you had 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago, depending on how old you are. That is all because you have grown as a person and you have changed the things that you believe in, changed your opinions, and those changes have come probably from your experiences and the things that you have done in the life that you've lived. And for a lot of people, that's such a smooth transition, but for many people, maybe most people, it comes with conflict or confusion, even if it's just short periods of time of like, man, I'm really feeling confused about what I think about this and I'm gonna have to figure it out. And for other people, they live in that state of uncertainty for months or years. And some people never really get to that comfortable place, and they live their entire lives feeling really unsure of who they are and where they fit in this world, or where they fit in their family or friend group or anything like that. So again, if you are in a place where you're questioning, I hope this helps you clarify. If you're in a place where you don't think you're questioning, tune in, because I want to make sure that there isn't anything that you need to be thinking twice about. And then if you're good, then at least you're like, you know what? I'm living a pretty healthy mindset life. I'm good. So this will just validate that. So as I lay these sessions out for you, or these episodes out for you in the next few weeks, I really want you to make an effort to dig deep. I want you to think about, just kind of listen with an open mind so that you make sure that you aren't stuck in a mindset that maybe it's time to revisit, or that maybe you've outgrown, but because of fear of change or fear of the uncertainty or of the unknown, you don't want to question. So there are some people that I work with who seem very kind of functional, well put together in the phase of life that they're in. And, they're maybe coming to counseling or, addressing things that are minor, that don't have anything to do with them. It has to do with other things in their lives. But sometimes we realize together through conversation that really there is a bit of a deeper issue. Not always, but sometimes that, the reason that you're struggling with this friendship, for example, or your marriage, or your whatever, your parenting, is because there's something in you that is maybe in conflict within yourself, and you don't know that that's it. You don't know that that's what's going on because no one's labeled it like that for you. No one's held that mirror up and shown you that that is what's going on. And so when you give these episodes a listen and really think deeply, I want you to be asking yourself, is there anything about me that is due for a tune-up, where I could really just spend a little bit of time thinking this through, making sure that I am living life the way that I want to, or thinking about this thing the way I want to, that my belief is the way that I feel confident or comfortable with about whatever it is, opinions, thoughts, whatever. So the reason I'm asking you to do this is because sometimes we kind of go through parts of our lives feeling very comfortable. And that comfort is habit, that we're not challenging things and we're just kind of going through day to day to day. And then all of a sudden, things happen that just leave us feeling unfulfilled. And then that's sometimes when you have to stop and explore that. And there's nothing you can do. If you're in a good place, you don't have to cause a problem. You don't have to create an identity crisis because I'm telling you to listen to this. Like, be happy where you are, be confident in where you are. But it's good to learn the tools about what to do if that was ever to come up, because you never know when some kind of crossroads in your life will come up that you have to make some choices, or if something really difficult happens, if you lose a loved one, or you experience some kind of a loss that now leaves you very, very lost or confused about who you are, how to live life without that person or without that thing, and where do we go from here. So this is good for if you're in that stage, and this is good for just good FYI, knowledge to have in your back pocket if and when something changes in your life that you need to kind of take a more active role in changing the direction or taking care of yourself in a different way. So with that being said, I want you to really just start off this week by asking yourself, okay, what is my identity? And I will, we'll kind of dive a little bit, like next week when I do my episode for you, I'm going to break down some more categories of identity for you. And we'll kind of look at, maybe a little bit more specific of each category, but kind of to start us off today. And honestly, the reason that I'm going to do it next week is that I was planning on doing one thing for you today, but I changed my mind somewhat last minute and decided to jump into the series. So I wasn't fully prepared, to be honest. And it's thanks to my friend Stacey Ramsey. I know you guys have listened to her with me before, but I went into her office and she was asking me what I'm doing my episode on, and we just got to talking, and through talking to her, this topic of identity came up. So I'm not fully prepared because this was last minute, but I just felt so excited when when her and I were talking and this topic came up that I was just like, I don't want to wait. I'm just going to go for it. So to get you started, think of, and I will break down kind of a little bit more for you next week, but start thinking of identity characteristics. Like, what does it mean? Like, when you think of yourself, what are some things about yourself that you think somewhat define you? Like, if I was to ask your friends, hey, tell me about this person, what do you wish they would describe you as? Like, what are some characteristics that they would say that would really kind of describe your personality, the way you treat people, the way that you interact with people, like your behaviors, and then think for yourself on the inside, like, what are some of the opinions that you hold about other people, about religion, politics, maybe spirituality if it's not a religion, family, children, friendships, just anything. Just kind of start a list, add to it. But the goal is just to dump any kind of descriptor of who you are. And that is a really, really good start, because I want to know kind of right off the bat, I want you to know, I'm not going to get to see this list unless you choose to share it with me, which you're welcome to. But I want you to see how in touch you are with who you are, if that makes sense. So if I said, okay, make me a list of 20 characteristics about you, would you be able to do it? If I said, okay, now 30, or 40 or 50, because there's an unlimited number of ways to describe yourself, right? So I want to know what comes to mind, because there are a lot of people who I ask to do this and they don't know. They might have a couple of things, but then when they really get down to it, they're like, I don't really know. Like, I don't know how I see myself. I don't know how other people see me. I don't know who I am. And so it's really, really important to just start with the basics and see, okay, how do you see yourself? And then list number 2 is how do you think other people see you? Because a lot of the times we see ourselves one way, but when we really interact with others, we don't come across the way that we think we do. And so you might know how other people treat you. Maybe someone's been like, hey, you're really rude whenever you talk to your mom. Or when you are in, the grocery store, you're very demanding when you talk to the people that work there. Or when you order at a restaurant, you don't use your manner. Like someone might tell you those kinds of things that you can register that as, I'm more polite to these people, but not to these. Or I think that I am confident when I talk to these people, but then my friends always tell me that I, seem really, really nervous or shy or whatever. So you can use any feedback that you've gotten over the years. And if you don't know, ask someone, be like, how do you think I am when it comes to this? Or if I could change this in my social life, what do you think I should change? I just want you to see if you have a good idea of how people view you, and I want to see if you have a good idea of how you view yourself. So if you kind of start with some basic lists, whether you write them down or in your head, I like writing them down because I think you'll just be more intentional if you do that. And you can always Google a list of characteristics, and then just look at the very large list that'll come out for you, and just kind of look through it and say, ask yourself if any of those fit you. They might be good, they might be bad, but go through it, see what you can find. Because I think a lot of the times looking at a concrete list that someone else has composed can remind you of things that you may not be thinking off the top of your head. So start with that. And then next week, we're going to dive into kind of describing more of these specific characteristics that contribute to identity development. Because I think a lot of people just struggle with that definition. What is an identity? So I'm going to read that thing to you one more time. Now that we've chatted a little bit and I threw a lot at you, I'm going to read this definition of identity one more time for you. So it says, identity is the unique set of characteristics that can be used to identify a person as themselves and no one else. The word can be used in different ways in different contexts. On a personal level, identity often refers to a person's sense of self, meaning how they view themselves as compared to other people. So how they view themselves instead of how they view other people, not about how other people see them. So the reason I was asking you to also think of how you think other people see you is not because we care. I mean, we really shouldn't focus on what other people think, but it's just because I want to see how that plays into how you view yourself. Because I think some people, they will assume someone sees them a certain way, and really it's not. It's kind of more rooted in an insecurity. So this is kind of like a general list. Like, I just want to see how you see yourself. I want to know how you think other people see you. And then as we talk more in the next few weeks, we'll kind of visit where insecurity or assumptions kind of play into identity. But just to kind of get you started, I just wanted you to brainstorm some ideas. So I hope this was a good kind of foundation for you to start thinking about who you are, your identity. Please don't dismiss this. If you are a super confident person, please listen, because there is going to be something in here that I think will resonate with you as we go on. And so just kind of stick with it and just see where it takes you. And so I'll be back with you next week to dive in a little bit more. In the meantime, I hope you have a really, really great week. Don't forget to buy my book on Amazon. It's been so fun having people walk into sessions with it, and then people that are messaging me telling me about it. So don't forget. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.